present to you the fire safety workshop. The local FSCs have, the fire safety councils have banded together to put together this workshop to communicate the information that you might be seeking, especially after the Sorrento fire, and give you the information that you're seeking, but also answer any questions you may have. So we're going to kick it off with some presentations and opening remarks by Morgan Dioli, and then we have Council Member Joe LaCava, who will also and Phoebe, who's the chair of Carmel Valley Fire Safe Council, will be our MC today.
Awesome, thanks. Awesome, thank you guys so much for coming out to this community event tonight and just caring about wildfire resilience and wildfire safety and what you can do. My name is Morgan Dioli. I'm with the Resource Conservation District of Greater San Diego County and the Fire Safe Council of San Diego County. We're the overarching countywide nonprofit group that supports a network of over 50 community fire safe councils, which is the most in California. So I just want to first say a big thank you to all of our local fire safe councils who came together through the Northwest City Wildfire Coalition to host this workshop. So a big round of applause for our community fire safe council. Awesome. I want to give a shout out to Del Mar Heights Fire Safe Council, Del Mar Fire Safe Council, Carmel Valley, Del Mar Mesa, Sorrento Valley, and Torrey Hills. Just thank you hosts so much for your attention and detail to hosting this amazing event, and thanks to the community for coming out tonight. So we all saw the Sorrento fire. There's 90 acres of open space that burned just a couple weeks ago. Luckily, thanks to our amazing first responders, that fire was burned out fairly quickly and no homes were affected. So thank goodness to all of our first responders and fire personnel. Beyond just their firefighting efforts, we actually have staff from state, federal, and local fire agencies here tonight to give you guys some education on what you can do to prevent the next wildfire and just take your part in making their jobs safer and easier. So my next thank you goes out to San Diego City Fire Rescue Department, CAL FIRE. So that's our local fire service. CAL FIRE, which is the state fire services here tonight, United States Fire Service, formerly Bureau of Land Management, and then our partners at Department of Insurance, American Red Cross, San Diego Canyonlands, and others. Thank you guys all for coming out tonight to support this event. So you're seeing here today, there's lots of different sorts of organizations, agencies, and community partners here to support your community. It really takes all of us in wildfire prevention, not just a community member, not just the fire service, not just somebody from a random conservation organization like myself. It takes all of us coming together to make our communities safer from wildfire. And I think that is what really stands out about tonight, is it's not just one voice, it's not just one agency, it's all of us collectively being safer together. So thank you so much for being here. The last thing I want to say is just a little bit about the Fire Safe Council of San Diego County. So I named a couple different local fire safe councils that are here tonight that are working to make all of our communities safer from wildfire, but the Countywide Fire Safe Council is a nonprofit organization that brings together community members and state, federal, and local fire agencies to make our county safer. We were created in 1997, and we're home to 57 plus community fire safe councils chapters. So throughout your night tonight, if you can't quite find out what local fire safe council covers you, what they do, and how to get involved, come find me somewhere. I can let you know what neighborhood fire safe council covers your home, and if there's not one, I would love to talk to you about making one. So, and last, just again, a big thank you to all of you guys for taking the time on your Saturday evening to be here to learn about wildfire resilience. It really takes you, starting at your home, to make us all more wildfire resilient and wildfire safe. So thank you again to everyone, and look forward to learning more tonight together.
Thank you so much, Morgan. We are so lucky to have Morgan for our community, and she is a wealth of knowledge for anyone that does have questions after this. And then we are so lucky to have Council President Joe LaCava here today, and he's going to speak first. We do have one question that we'll go over, and we don't have a lot of time, but we're extremely lucky to have you, so thank you so much, and come on up.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for the invitation. I think Morgan stole all my applause lines because that's the easiest way to get through some talking points. And I'm going to be pretty brief because you have some amazing speakers that really can dive into the more specific questions that you might have. But I also want to double down on the fire councils that have now, we're about a year old now, right? And have organized so quickly as volunteers. One, to host an event like this on pretty short notice, and you rewarded them by all coming out. But let's give another round of applause for the volunteers that it took a while. Morgan didn't quite go into that, but the City of San Diego had fire safe councils on the eastern edge, where we had some of the more dramatic and tragic fires back in the day. And I think as we begin to realize what makes Del Mar Heights, Del Mar Terrace, Torrey Hills, Del Mar Mesa, Carmel Valley, Pacific Highlands Ranch so special as a place to live is because you're surrounded by open space that gives you room to breathe, that gives you more fresh air, gives you hiking trails and such, and there's such a tremendous asset. But I think as we've learned and was dramatically shown a couple of weeks ago, the Sorrento fire goes, there's a little bit of risk with that. And if we don't properly manage from the city's point of view and we don't manage as individual property owners, that can become a problem and a bit of a challenge here. So the question is, how do we find that right balance between preserving the open space that has all the positive assets, but doesn't become a problem for the individual communities. And I know the Sorrento Valley fire was probably still traumatic when you think about it from the community, and especially for those homeowners on the southerly edges of Torrey Hills. Can't even begin to imagine what was like. And for those that came back to their homes and found their homes were intact, but found that they were hit with fire retardant, and you kind of wondered, wow, if we didn't have those airdrops, if we didn't have that fire retardant, what might have happened? But no structural damage. And so give another round of applause to everybody who was engaged in fighting those fires and created that fast response that, yeah, it got up to 90 acres, but it got controlled and got put out. So give all the fire rescue folks. So some of you, does anybody sit there and watch city council meetings all day long because you've got nothing better to do? I made a comment during that Monday. I'm council president, so I chair those meetings. And I made a comment during the course to the audience that was assembled there or watching remotely, which was, why is this guy constantly looking at his phone? And it was because I was getting updates on the Sorrento Valley fire, which goes both in my district, District 1, that you live in, as well as District 6, which Council President Pro Tem leads. And I was monitoring that. I was getting updates from the mayor, updates from fire rescue about what was going on. And for those people that said, we were elected official, why weren't you out there? Nobody that's fighting fires wants an elected official to be out there getting in the way. Stay in your office, do your job down at City Hall. We'll let you know what's going on. And so I'm so grateful for that very good work. The other thing I wanted to touch just a little bit briefly is what else am I doing on a day-to-day basis as your council member? My job is to give the local fire rescue the tools they need to do their job on a day-to-day basis and being able to respond when something like this happens. And I think if you've been paying attention, there have been a lot of spot fires. A lot of them don't rise to making the news, or you might even hear about it in the mainstream media, but they're out there constantly. Claremont, I think, was one of the North Claremont was one of the latest fires. So there's constantly a lot of spot, maybe a half acre, maybe an acre. They get out there, they put it out, and then they get ready for that next response. In the current budget or current year that we're in, fiscal year 2026. I tried to get extra money in the budget conversations last June. I couldn't get the votes. These kinds of fires actually helped me in my advocacy. Terrible way to get that kind of support. But we did get some positions specifically related to mitigation. This year, the budget, which we just adopted this month, my staff took a deep dive about how we do brush removal and fire mitigation, and we found that that was actually split among a couple of different city departments. And so working with the mayor, we got that consolidated, so we should be much more efficient and much more responsive to that brush management. And we also got some extra funding into that. And you know, it's interesting, if you haven't met Chief Logan, who is the chief of the City of San Diego's Fire and Rescue, an amazing individual. And this year we put the Office of Emergency Services under Fire and Rescue. And he had the unusual task this year to come to council to argue for budget and said, on one hand, we're really worried about fires, wildfires, and we need funding there. And on the other hand, he said, I'm concerned about the El Nino. Is it El Nino? I could never get them straight. We're worried about flooding. At the same time, I don't think we've ever had one year where we've actually tried to navigate both. And so he did a good job of advocating for funding for whether it's fires or whether it's extraordinary rains going forward. And he's really doing a very good job for you all and for the city. We're very lucky to have him. So I appreciate you coming here to take ask questions and learn lessons from the folks that are much smarter than I can give you better answers to some of the questions you might have. But with that, the other tool is the Fire Safe Council. So grateful for the volunteers who are willing to step up. I can't say it enough, they did an amazing job of really standing up and pivoting and really serving you very well. They're a fantastic resource for the city. They're a fantastic resource for you. And I know they're very dedicated to try to protecting all of these incredible communities we have here in the north end of District 1. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for your diligence. Do not be shy. Sandy is my rep out there in the northern part of my district, and constituent services is a very important part of what I think being a council member is all about. So let us know if we're not getting the job done. We're happy to pivot, try to do better all the time. So I'm going to close there. Again, thank you to everybody. I think he's teased out there that we've got a question.
I actually think you answered it, so thank you. I know that I think I speak for a lot of people where I think the biggest concern of all the concerns, which I know we have a lot, is about brush management. And I think that it was nice to hear you address some of that. And if there's anything else you can say quickly toward brush management, I do think that's something that that was the number one question that we got in preparing for this. So
yeah, the other thing I was talking with BG a little bit about how we deal with this in the different neighborhoods that make up the city of San Diego. In other parts, we found what we affectionately call dumpathons, where you go out to a community, you bring these big dumpster containers, everybody kind of gets together and pitches in. And it was suggested that maybe that doesn't work here because the way that you approach things, it may not be. But if there is an appetite to have a Saturday for us to bring out dumpsters, to coordinate brush management, let us know. We'll look to the Fire Safe Councils to advise me on that. But that is something we're willing to do for these communities just as much as we're currently doing for some of our older communities that also have canyons running through them and have that same kind of vulnerabilities. Unless there's anything else, again, I just will thank you for inviting me. Thank you. This is going to be a fantastic workshop.
thank you so much. Thank you, and we will now hear from our battalion chief, Jason Brackpool from the San Diego Fire Department. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Microphone, everything.
Well, hello everybody. Thank you for being here. I didn't realize I had such a big audience. This is pretty awesome. So, tell you a little bit about myself. As you know, my name is Jason Brackpool. I just became to Battalion 5 a month ago. So I'm brand new to this battalion. We encompass a pretty large footprint of our battalion, all the way up to Del Mar, to the east towards towards Rancho Bernardo, and then it's all the way south. So I'm here to kind of go over the Sorrento fire and kind of tell you kind of a timeline about the Sorrento fire, what we did, how we mitigated, bringing in our partners, CAL FIRE, many different partners on this, and how we were able to tackle this fire. As impressive as it was for that 90 acres, the good news is that we didn't lose any houses, we didn't get anybody hurt, and all said and done from start to finish, it was 6 hours from over when it was over. So, moving forward, the Sorrento fire started on June 8th. Rather than focus on the tactical firefighting operations, I'd like to highlight how quickly the incident evolved, and that's kind of what I went on this on a little time frame just to kind of keep everybody with what we did. So on June 8th it started, and at about 9:20 a.m. it had a rapid uphill fire spread, as we've talked about, 90 acres in this kind of what we call the mutual threat zone. And when that happens, we get a big package was what we like to call a big order package between San Diego Fire Department, our CAL FIRE partners with their aircraft and resources, amongst all the other entities that come there. And when we get this fire, we end up coming to a unified command. Everybody comes together, and we start figuring out the plan on how we're going to help with the infrastructure, the power lines, the adjacent properties, the commercial properties, where this fire is going to go. And as everybody knows, most likely, fire is driven by wind topography and the fuel that it's there to burn. And so, unfortunately, the problem is that we can't stop a lot of those things. But in this particular case, it was we had a quick action. We had 350 people on the ground. There we go. Is that better? Is that better? Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. So, like I said, we had 350 people on the ground, and we ended up aggressively going after this fast, and then bringing in CAL FIRE, which is amazing to work with on a constant level. We were able to hit it with a lot of air resources, get fire retardant on the ground. So we like to call it paint in the box, right? We lay lines down there, and we kind of try to keep that fire inside the box and then not let it spread. So going on with our timeline here. At 9:20 it was reported. It had a rapid uphill fire spread. There were threats to the homes and the infrastructure right off the bat, so we immediately called a first alarm on our side for the city, which prompted our partners to bring in their resources and then join that unified command. Again, it was at 90 acres where we had no structures threatened, which is a really, really good thing, and that's something that we always go there. We don't want anybody get hurt, any loss of life, and we don't want your house to burn down. So we're doing everything in our power to put a response on that as fast as we can and as aggressive as we can, and that's exactly what we did. At approximately, again, it took about 6 hours for this whole thing from start to finish by the time we were wrapping up and moving. So 90 acres, and just some simple knowledge, and only because I learned this through the years, but to make it simple, football field being 1 acre, right? So we're looking at there and we're looking, okay, well, this has got the potential to go a couple hundred acres. And right off the bat, we're like, man, this is moving fast. And so we were dealing with the steep terrain, the homes that were immediately adjacent to, the high voltage transmission lines that were involved, the interstate corridor, which is, as we know, traffic's lovely right around that time, and then the rapid fire growth with everything that was happening in that area. I wanted to address that because we had a lot of challenges right off the bat. And the first arriving unit saw this go from 1 to 2 acres, and then within 6 minutes it went to 6 to 7 acres. And before we know it, we're already at 10 to 15 acres. And that is telling you that the speed of this fire is moving extremely fast. So at 9:22, 2 minutes later, we had 2 acres going. So at 9:20, we got the phone call. 9:22, we had 2 acres going. At 9:24, it was at a dangerous rate of spread. And we immediately knew we had to start calling in more resources as fast as we could get in here. At 9:24, we were at 6 to 7 acres total at that point. And at 9:28, we immediately had structures threatened. So in 8-minute time, from the time we got dispatched to the time we had structures threatened, was 8 minutes. So it's a lot of quick decisions that we have to make with our partners, getting aircraft in the air, how we're going to paint this box on this fire, and moving forward. At 9:35, we called in additional air resources. CAL FIRE comes in, they do a tremendous job on helping us navigate the air. They get a plane up in the air, it becomes an air traffic controller in the air. That's why you see a little plane flying around in circles. You have tankers, you have helicopters, you have the city helicopters, and all we're doing is continually dumping retardant and water on these areas to paint that box and get in there. Meanwhile, we have everybody on the ground creating our alpha and bravo flanks, and we call it a mic flank, which is the people up in front of the fire, so that we can encapsulate this fire and bring this down to a level that is manageable. This is a very good example of the decisions, how it was based on projected fire behavior for that day. It was dry. It's been in topography and fuels that hadn't been burned in a long time. I've been on this job for 25 years. The last time I remember it being built was pretty much on that same hillside, probably a good 20 plus years ago, and it got going pretty good fast. It hasn't really burned since then, so it continues to grow. We get these drier climates and no rain is not helping the situation. Our unified command was with us, CAL FIRE, the county, U.S. Forest Service, PD, San Diego PD. We went mutual aid with San Diego Gas and Electric, and we had 15 total agencies there corresponding this 90-acre fire that we were able to get fast. Let's see what else on this. Aviation plays a critical role in this. We had 4 helicopters, we had 4 air tankers, and 1 air attack controlling this fire and painting that. We had 169 helicopter water drops in that 6-hour period. And that significantly helps the crews on the ground get a hold and get hose lines around it. Meanwhile, painting that box and keeping that thing within it. Throughout the incident, multiple agencies coordinated 4 helicopters, the fixed wings that I talked about, and the air attack combined. Those aircraft completed 169 water drops, which was awesome to see us all work together and come to that. We did structure protection, we did direct attack, we got hand crews in there, we had dozers come in there and create that fire break so that we wouldn't have fire jumping roads and extending any farther than it did. And we were able to coordinate that again with CAL FIRE's aviation. So everybody's working hand in hand on this and moving this fire forward. And with all the tools, the hand tools, the dozers, it really, it's a well orchestrated event on our side. And I know it looks chaotic on the outside, but on the inside, it was a kind of a really cool thing to see everybody come together and be able to attack that. It did impact some road closures. We did have some smoke impacts. We had some traffic disruptions, but with our partners, they were able to kind of control that with CHP as well as our San Diego BD and try to bypass traffic around that area. Initially, we had 2,000 plus homes immediately threatened, and we had 6 evacuations orders. Is everybody familiar with the evacuation, Genesis Evac? You get the notifications on your phone. Well, that starts with our partnerships with San Diego PD. They come on scene, we sit there, we coordinate where's the fire moving, what's it directly threatening, we get those notifications out, and then we immediately start looking at the warning zones. And those warning zones will come in, and we start putting those out, because we don't want to see what the fire is going to do in 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and we want the residents that are in the business and the surrounding area to be able to be warned on that. So that, hopefully everybody got that, and it came out smooth and everybody was seeing it. The public notifications went out, we had traffic notifications going out, and it continued to be able to, again, be more of a smooth process from our side. What I want to talk about today is just defensible areas for your residents, for your property, for business owners, creating that defensible space, hardening your home, getting combustible materials away from your home so that we can help protect it at the best possibility that we could. Be ready to evacuate. I say that to everybody. Everybody wants to stay, and I understand that, and it's your home and you don't want to lose that, but at the same time, your safety is number one, and we want that for you more than anything. That's why we try to give you every opportunity to get out of there. You know, I've had this discussion with my own dad multiple times because he lives in the woods there a little bit, and I say, Dad, like, I'd rather we can always rebuild the house. I can't rebuild you. Come, you know, let's get out of there, and he'll eventually do it, but get ready. Have a plan ready to go. What's your plan when you're going to leave? How are you going to leave? Where are you going to go? What's your exit route going to be? What do you have packed up and ready to go? These are things that I want you to think about from this point moving forward. And one of the biggest takeaways from the Sorrento fire that the wildfire preparedness starts, it starts long before this happens again. So we've got a taste of what 90 acres did and the personnel that came in and put this fire out. But think about, it's going to happen again. At some point, it's going to happen again. And what are we going to do as a community, as a fire department, as our partners? What are we going to do to move this forward? And how are we going to tackle the next fire that happens? And they just emphasize this. I want to emphasize this again. Leave early. Follow the directions from emergency responders. Listen to those apps. Get on that social media. Look at the news. See what's happening with it. Stay informed and continue to progress on getting out of that at that point. You know, the Sorrento fire demonstrated what was possible when we were prepared as a community. And I can't speak for being there at that time, but I have had multiple conversations with the crews that were on there, my crews that were on there on that fire, the other battalion chiefs there, and you know, we prepare all the time. We train for this all the time. It's something that it's not foreign to us, and we will take this and we will attack it at everything we can, and we're going to bring in our partners to help us mitigate that. Having that coordinated emergency response and that strong regional partnership, which has been great with CAL FIRE. We can't prevent the wildfire, but together we can reduce the risk and improve the outcome of it. And ultimately, we didn't lose any houses. No one got hurt. No one was disabled in any way, shape, or form. We had 350 people on the ground, and from start to finish, we were out of there in 6 hours. So
how did that fire start?
Right now, it's still under investigation. Our Metro Arson Start team is actively investigating it. They've followed up on a couple leads, but at this time, it's still undetermined. So,
I mean, if we, you say, obviously with weather and this and that, we are going to have fires. But if we can't get to the bottom of how a fire that could have gotten to 2,000 homes,
yeah.
I mean, I don't care how much brush management we do. If we can't figure out how to keep either people in the canyon from starting fires, that's not a very big area. But it seems frustrating that this is an issue that needs to be handled.
And to address your question, I agree with you. I think we need to find better avenues of finding these things, but we always look at a fire like you're looking for a needle in a haystack. You know, on a 90-acre fire, although it's 90 acres, it's a big starting point. We have to go down everything. Are we looking at transmission lines? Are we looking at ignition source somewhere? Was it deliberately set? Was it caused by lightning? These are all things that we take into account, and we don't want to just kind of attack that. We want to make sure we're doing a thorough investigation on it before we release it to say, okay, this is how it was started. So right now it's currently undetermined, and then until our Metro Arson Start team releases that, that's what we're gonna go with.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Battalion Chief. We are so lucky to have you and everyone serving our community. We appreciate it. And we are now going to hear from Raquel Elias from the San Diego Fire Department about home hardening and defensible space. So thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Raquel Elias, and I'm with San Diego Fire Rescue. I am actually boots on the ground. Can you guys hear me? Is this on? Okay, just making sure. I'm going to go to a very important page for you guys, so give me 1 second. If you guys will all take out your phones, because I'm going to give you guys QR codes right here. Hold on. Here we go. So right here, if you look at the QR codes, we have Ready, Set, Go. Chief Brackapole was nice enough to tell you guys about how to prepare. If you go to that, it will have everything that you need to prepare. It'll tell you how things that you need that would be important, like medicines. You have to plan to be out of your home for a while, so it goes through a list of everything that like you should check off and have in a bag ready to go all the time in case of an emergency. And it doesn't have to be exactly fire, it could be a storm. We did have a lot of flooding last year, if everybody remembers. So this is one of those things that you want to be ready, set to go. And then also, we have Genesis Protect. And what that does is it'll notify you. If you sign up with your phone, it will alert you when you have an emergency in your area. And it'll send it to your phone, basically telling you, you know, where you live, you know, you have this going on, get ready to go, get your stuff, or to leave. Don't wait for the PD to come through to tell you to exit, because by that time, it's way too late. So if you have this app, you can download it, and then you will get alerts as they come through. So my group, we are what we call the brush management crew. So we do compliance, and we go out and we check for defensible space, which is what Chief Rackpool was saying to do. So you would be doing brush management within 100 feet of your property, or to your property line, depending on how big your lot is. And also, one of the things that we're pushing right now that is new to everybody is Zone 0. So Zone 0 is a hot button right now, and we learned that embers could travel up to 5 miles. So what that means is if you have brush management and you have the area of 0 to 5 feet around your house, if you have combustible waste, if you have leaf litter, if you have debris, if you have anything that ember could catch on fire, that would mean that you could have a chance of losing your home. So this is what we're telling everybody, is to go around your house, and you could do low cost to no cost changes, like removing the leaf litter around your home, removing the mulch around your home, change it out with gravel, or you can leave it down to dirt, that's fine. Cutting away large bushes that are in front of your window. You want to get those hedges down to 18 inches if you're in front of a window. So around the property, everything should be green and growing and taken care of. And we have awful home risk assessments if you're not able to understand what Zone 0 requirements are, or the defensible space, how it works. We've got some handouts, so I'll go around and pass them out in a minute. I know that we're kind of short on time. So the group will stay a little bit afterwards, so that this way you can get a hold of us. But if you go to our website, it has all of the information on it. So if you go to the Ready, Set, Go, it will take you to the City of San Diego's website. And on that, it has all of this information. It has the Zone 0 on it. It has the brush management regulations. It has photos of what your property should look like and things that you should do. Home hardening is really huge right now. We're changing out the fences between, you know, the 0 to 5 zone, doing your vents so that they're 1/8 inch, so that this way embers don't get into your home. So I'm gonna leave you guys with all that because I don't want to go too far, but please make sure that you get this on your phone, so that this way you have some education and you'll know how to get ready to, if there is another event. Hopefully not. Let's pray that everything goes really good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, we appreciate it.
Is that app just for fire only, or does it cover other things that happen?
The QR codes that are up are all for the City of San Diego. So if you're within the City of San Diego's jurisdiction, then this is gonna apply to you.
That's what I'm saying, but the app, it said it warns you. And
Yeah, it's
that
for,
fire
well, you
only?
put in your address, is from what I understand, Rackpool, just confirming. If you put in your information, your address, and so it'll alert you to what's going on in your neighborhood. So even if you're not in San Diego, if you put in your address and all your information, it should alert you to what's happening in your area.
The question is, does it include earthquake and other things, or just violence?
Yes?
It would be for any emergency that we've decided to
Hold on, I'll come
utilize
back.
Genesis Protect to make notification. Yeah, so Genesis Protect is just an application in partners with the fire and law enforcement to make evacuation orders or notifications or warnings or stay-in-place orders in partnership with the law enforcement making that decision, right? So we know that it's very impactful. We don't take that lightly. When we know that we're going to impact your guys' neighborhoods, we'd hate to be kind of like the boy that cried wolf. We're sending alerts all the time, right? So we make a really decisive decision to make that notification, and it's in regards to any type of emergency. If whatever fire agency decided to create an evacuation order or warning, they will be pushed out through that program. And then another thing too is you could add up to 5 addresses. So if you have family anywhere throughout the state or whatever, that's a good way to put their addresses in there as well.
Thank you so much.
I have a question.
Okay, one last question.
Have you tested that app? How would you test it?
Test it in what way, sir?
Yeah, efficiency of that.
It's great. What's your concern?
The concern is, we have any app download often, and I often found that they don't test it correctly. And so when it comes to the time of emergency, use this.
So there are many apps out there. This Genesis Protect is vetted through a lot of agencies. So if you want precise information, whether it might be delayed, there's apps out there that are listening to scanners, right? And they're just caught being parrots and repeating what they're hearing. So in an incident, there's an example of, they might say something over the radio between 2 fire officials saying, hey, we should probably evacuate this area and this area. Those people that are repeating those things on those other apps are probably putting it on there, making you worried, right? Now let's just say in that same incident, 2 minutes later, they have a face-to-face conversation, and they said, you know what, that area is safe, let's just do it to this area. And that's why there might be a little delay, but it's because it's getting vetted and being correct information and not going off of what other people are just posting. Okay, so that's a vetted application.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And if anyone is having a hard time getting online, like getting on the password for Del Mar Heights School is DMUSD. So if you needed to get onto the Wi-Fi, you can use that now. Thank you so much, and we will now hear from Rex Hambley with NWFS.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right. Good afternoon, Rex Hambley,
United States Wildland Fire Service. I think the mic died.
United States Wildland Fire Service is a new fire department that was formed in February, and they combined Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and I said BLM already, into one big fire department. So we're new, but the principles of good firefighting haven't changed. How many people have a fire intelligence app on their phone right now? How many people use them? Anyone? Okay. Who uses Genesis already? Okay. How about PulsePoint? Just a few. Okay. What about Watch Duty? Okay. How many people use the fire cameras? Just a few people. Great. All right. Well, this is a module from the Last Chance Survival course, and it's a 3-quarter-day program that U.S. Wildland Fire Service, CAL FIRE, and Resource Conservation District Fire Safety Council. We usually teach it in the winter and the spring, and there's a lot of different modules. So we're just going to do a few slides from one of those modules. And the gentleman had a question if the app was vetted. So we're going to go through very briefly the strengths and weaknesses of some of these apps. Okay? Let's see if the clicker works. Oh, there we go. Okay. Is there anybody who has worked in the intelligence field in the career, maybe in the Navy or Air Force? Anybody? No? If you did, you probably couldn't tell us anyways. So something to think about. Oscar brought up vetting. That is the authenticity and the legitimacy of the information that you're getting. So sometimes people do listen to the scanners, and they put stuff on there that may not be true, or maybe someone got really excited and they said something over the radio and they took a second look at it and it really wasn't as bad as they thought. So The vetted information goes through the incident commander and through the other officials, and it's usually a little bit slower to get pushed out because it has to be approved and everything. So that's why there's a little bit of time lag on that stuff. The other platforms can be a little bit quicker, but it's not vetted. You guys can see the trade-off here? Okay, but all of these things we can use to help us make a decision to evacuate or evacuate early, or even which way to go. Okay, we're gonna skip all these different fields of intelligence. Here's one that I'd like to show. This was down on the border a couple years ago. This is my friend Johnny Q from CAL FIRE. Imagery intelligence is all the information that we can get out of a picture. So what can you guys take away from this one picture here? Everything's up for grabs. Just start calling stuff out. Smoke, okay, I heard smoke. What else?
Suspicious people walking.
People walking in the background.
It's a hot day.
A hot day, okay. Why do you think it's hot?
Because you can see the rays from the sun.
Okay. Anything else?
It doesn't look like a crisis.
It doesn't look like a crisis? Okay. We got a little bit of human intelligence over here. Okay, and then someone else said dry vegetation? All right, cool, that's great. So those are all true. And this is a rabbit hole that you guys can go down. But when we look at the fire cameras from the Sorrento fire, we can gather certain things about the fire, where it is, how it's burning. This is the fun one, but we're gonna move really fast through that. And we're gonna move through all this stuff too. Sorry guys, we don't got time for it. Let's get to the apps here. Okay, there's a couple times we're gonna mention the fire cameras. So I only saw like 3 or 4 hands, and the people in the back don't count for fire cameras. So who has ever used the fire cameras before? Like 1 or 2 people? 3 people, okay. There's QR codes for these, but there's a research and mitigation network all across California and the American West that the universities and the power companies and other organizations have paid money into to detect and study and lead to the rapid suppression of wildfires. This is up by Hollywood. This was during the Palisades fire, but the little blue dots are cameras, and the cone is the view shed. So that's what the camera is looking at. You can pick which camera you want, and it shows up on the screen here. Don't worry, we'll put the QR code up for you. This was a case study from that. We also use the traffic maps a lot. How many people use a traffic map on their phone? A live traffic map? A few people, okay. Yeah, so there's Apple, Google, Waze is another popular one. We can see people are evacuating from the Palisades fire right now, and there's another fire that starts up in Hollywood. And just from looking at this, you may decide to take an alternate route. You guys see where we're going with this? You could be going to the mall and think, oh man, Del Mar Heights Road is really jammed up, I'm gonna go around. So you're already kind of doing this planning, okay? And it's no different for fires. Here's one from the invasion of Ukraine I took. I thought this was interesting. This is looking west into Poland, okay? So here's the picture. And then this is from the campfire up in Paradise. Same thing, people are evacuating. And I went on Google Traffic, and I looked, this is Kiev here. Look at the traffic going to the west. So everyone traveling west, we can see in near real time that all of the westbound lanes are really jammed up. It doesn't mean you shouldn't go that way. It's just another piece of the puzzle that you're building as you're preparing to make your evacuation. If we look a little bit closer, we can actually see the granularity of the data here is no one's going into the city here right now because people are coming from the east for the invasion. Same for fires. We're going to skip this. This is infrared sensors from space, but we're going to skip it tonight. Okay, if you got a phone, take a picture and scan this one and bookmark it. This is the United States, between the Forest Service and Wildland Fire Service, where we put all of our fire perimeters. There's access to fire cameras in there. You can see the picture for the whole United States on big fires, small fires, new fires. It is a really cool tool. It's somewhat advanced, so we're going to skip it for tonight. Do you guys need the QR code again real quick? Yes. Okay, go back to it. All right, get that one, and if you get out of your way over here. I don't have the QR code. Okay, we good to go on? Not yet. Will you guys tell me when the time's up?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right, next one. So here we got a fire in Southern Oregon. We've got the perimeter. It also shows you thermal hotspots as they were sensed from space, which is a really handy tool for big fires and new fires. CAL FIRE has a really phenomenal platform too. So scan this one and then put your phones down once you got it. It shows their, most of their fires, usually I think is at 10 acres.
At 10 acres, you'll start putting
Awesome.
information. And the one thing I want to share too is, regardless of jurisdiction, we will make contact with that jurisdiction to put something at one centralized platform.
Gotcha. So Oscar said once fires get to 10 acres or larger, regardless of what fire department owns the fire, CAL FIRE will reach out and they'll put it on this platform here. So this is a really zoomed out view. They've built this up over the last 2 or 3 years, I think, and it's a good, really good product. Each one of these is a fire that's over 10 acres. You can click on it and it'll tell you about the fire, how big it is, what fire department's there, how many people are on the fire. Very handy. How many people have used a commercial flight tracker? A couple people? Great. So this is a screenshot from a wildfire here, I think over on the Sequoia National Forest. And there's a whole lot of aircraft swarming all around this one place. So when we get a fire, one of the first things I do, because my district is all of Southern California, I pull up the flight tracker and I see where the aircraft are going. If you do this a few times, you'll start to learn the types of the aircraft and what they do. And you can also, there's 5 million YouTube videos on tankers dropping. The one that circles in a circle all day is the air attack platform, and they coordinate the aerial firefight with the ground firefight to make sure it all makes sense. And when they're circling around for a long time in some area, it means there's something interesting going on there. Okay? So if this was Del Mar and there was air attack circling over it, or Sorrento, like there was, we would know that that's right where the action is, and we wouldn't want that to be over our house. Okay, more on the fire cameras. Another great resource is the California Highway Patrol CAD. Has anyone used this before? A couple people nodding their heads. Impressive. In some places, when you call 911, it goes to CHP first. And I thought this one was interesting. There was a person hit by a golf cart. So I screenshotted it, but it'll have a little link. You can click on it. It tells you a little bit about it. It tells you where it is. And so many times, the first report of the fire will get to CHP, and we can know about it a little bit before it actually makes its way to the fire dispatch. Does 911 go straight to Metro in the city? Within city limits, yeah. Yeah, for a lot of our stuff in the in the eastern part of the county, it makes its way to CHP first. Okay, there's some other great platforms, a lot of weather. Here's one that we want to get. So Pulse Point is linked to the fire dispatcher's computer. And someone says, oh my God, there's a fire in my backyard. They call 911, they go, where's your emergency? Type in the keyboard, and once they press go on the keyboard, it pings out to Pulse Point, and it'll alert you almost at the time of dispatch. And it's really good for knowing right when a fire starts. As the fire goes on throughout the days, this becomes useless for that. But for knowing right away about a fire, it's really good. Did you guys get the QR code off of it? Yes, ma'am. There's a lot of booklets floating around tonight, and I don't know if this is in any of those. Okay. I see a few more phones.
It's on our website.
Yeah, good. It's on the website. Yeah, this is a great one to have. This is vetted information. It comes from the fire department. It's not evacuation information, so it doesn't tell you when to evacuate. It just gives you, maybe a 20 or 30 minute heads up before that evacuation gets pushed out to everybody. Okay, this is what it looks like. It's called Pulse Point Respond. All right. Pulse point, more stuff. You want to turn off all of this other stuff. It could tell you if there's a car wreck, a heart attack, a chest pain, or whatever, but in the context of tonight, we're just interested about vegetation fires. So make sure you turn this other stuff off. Otherwise, it's going to bug you all night and stuff that is irrelevant to us. Okay, here's Genesis. This is the official evacuation app. This is the one where you get fully vetted information that has gone through all the emergency managers, police, fire department. This is a legit source. It takes a little bit longer because they have to work all that out at the fire and decide where they're going to do it. This is the official evacuation source. Okay, got it? Awesome. Is it time? It's time.
One last slide.
Oh, one last one? Okay. So here's a couple shots from Genesis. It's important to know your zone. So that's the neighborhood that you live in. So if you know your number, you can program the phone to make it go off when they tell you to leave, okay? So this is a all-day course, and we just did a little bit. So I'm going to step off. Thank you for your time tonight, and we'll hang around after to answer questions.
Thank you so much, Rex. And Rex, along with a number of our other speakers, has volunteered to do another workshop. So you can let your fire safe councils know if you'd like to hear from them again, and we will definitely have future workshops where we can get more information. We are now going to hear from Brenda Kaloka from the California Department of Insurance. Thank you so much for being here, Brenda.
Thank you so much for having us here. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Can everyone see me and hear me okay from down here? I'm naturally short, so I might have to go a step up, or am I good? Awesome. Well, good evening. My name is Brenda Kaloka. I am with the California Department of Insurance. Has anyone been in contact with our department with the show of hands? Okay, a few. How many of you actually know the functions of our department with the show of hands? Great, then I'm in the perfect place, right? See, no hands. We are a government agency, of course, a branch from the department. I'm with Community Relations and Outreach Branch. My role in the department is educate, equip you with the tools necessary to self-advocate and fight back the insurers. That's our essence. We can go to the next slide, or perfect. We do regulate most lines of insurance. What does that mean? How many of you have homeowners insurance? Auto insurance? Driving without auto insurance? Yeah, a few of you, all right. I have a solution, don't worry. How many of you have life insurance? Annuities? Okay, a few of you. Those are some of the lines of insurance that we regulate. What does that mean? Essentially, we ensure that we set the standards for agents and brokers when they're going to do business with you. Also vetting the insurance companies for them to be admitted carriers. We also resolve consumer insurance concerns, meaning if you are working with an insurer, submitted a claim, they don't want to pay out. What do you traditionally do? What is it? Hire a lawyer. Leave cover. Right? There really isn't a recourse because you're not aware, and this is why I'm here today to let you know that the California Department of Insurance is a resource. What would tend to happen is you as a consumer would have to submit a request for assistance. You would get assigned to an expert, and they would be working your case, speaking on your behalf to the insurance companies and figuring out, number one, why are they not paying a claim that needs to be paid according to your policy? Because it all depends on what you have in the contract. So think of us as the enforcement agency for insurers. So that's essentially who we are. And we do have some tools and resources for you. We do have a small police department that actually focuses efforts in only investigating fraud and scams. So it's important that if you are a victim or you are suspecting a scam or fraud, that you do report that to our department. So if you suspect scams or frauds, who are you going to call? That's perfect, California Department of Insurance. Just checking. I will here and there ask questions. Type priority is what? Who caught it? What is our top priority as a department?
Protecting the consumer.
Yes, us protecting the consumers. That is right. That is our top priority as a department. Now, you've been equipped with the various resources to how to prevent, how to acknowledge, and they might have recapped on Safer from Wildfires as in retrospect to Zone 0, right? Safer from Wildfires is a framework. How many of you are familiar with that already? A few hands? Okay. I'm not going to go into depth in terms of the different steps, but I will emphasize overall we do have one-pagers outside, which you can go ahead and pick up on your way out. Essentially, it's a framework that was in collaboration with the Office of Emergency of the Government's Office, Cal OES, and essentially these are frameworks and recourse that has already been tested and worked. So it hasn't been created from our department, it's tested metrics that actually work, right? Number one, you protect, it's really protecting your home, your immediate surroundings, and your community. There are a few steps in how to protect your home. There's a few steps in terms of creating that defensible space, which has been the key word, right? Defensible, protect, remove, which are intimidating when you think about the cost, when you think about what you have to do. Now, I'm going to go over with the importance of it, and how does that even relate or translate for insurance for you? Number one, protect your community, meaning you want to do the work, but you also want to work with your neighbors because you become safer together. See, you are going to be assessed as an individual now with the new catastrophe model, which I will talk a little bit about. However, if your whole neighborhood is joined with you to actually mitigate and harden your home, then you become safer together. Then the risk levels become what? Less. It minimizes. And that essentially is what the cost of your insurance is, right? It's risk. So that is the end goal, is eliminate the risk, and essentially the number one goal really is to protect your assets, your hard-earned assets, right? So I'm gonna move on to an update that we've had. The sustainable insurance strategy, which I didn't really touch upon, is basically the framework that was used. It was the strategy, it was the goals to how we're going to achieve to stabilize the insurance market. Now, you've heard many versions of why insurers left and why they paused insuring. In a nutshell, they're a business. We understand business. If you don't make profits, is it a good business? No. And essentially, bottom line is, insurers were making money. Hate to admit it, but that's the reality, is that they were a business and they were making money. And so, the sustainable insurance strategy was introduced. One of the big components of that strategy is that insurance companies are now going to be able to use the catastrophe model. And all that is a rate-making tool that allows them to assess risk at an individual level. And that includes, it takes into account the mitigation you do. However, before they're able to use that model and the rates according to that model, they have to commit to underwriting in high distress fire areas. 85% of their market share has to be in those areas. And so far, they do have to still go through the approval process that has been set forth by Proposition 103. And so, being so, since the introduction of the sustainable insurance strategy, the great news is that we have 5 companies that have recommitted to expanding business here in California. Now, I want you to note the effective dates, because that's going to be important. The effective dates are the dates that they have been allowed to begin those new rates. However, you notice that the 5th one isn't effective till July. So that's going to be important. We do have more companies coming that on the pipeline and in the work. We can't disclose those companies yet because they're not official yet. So once they are, you will be aware. And those are the companies that are going to be committing to underwriting high fire distress areas. Now, why does mitigation matter? We talked about under the sustainable insurance strategy, they're going to be able to underwrite, they're going to have to commit to 85% of the market share in high distress areas. So, as a business, do I want to insure someone who has eliminated risk or someone who continues to have high risk? Eliminate the risk, because that's good for business, right? So when companies are going to be effectively reinsuring in areas that are high risk, they are going to be looking at properties that have been mitigated. The zone zero, the safer, the roof, the eaves, the windows, all those are going to really give an impact and get the opportunity to get better rates as well. So number one, you have availability. And that's essentially what the focus of sustainable insurance has been, is availability. We can't focus on affordability if it's not available, right? We all understand that. So I'm happy to report that we're heading in the right direction, but sad to report that we still have a lot of work ahead of us. Number one of the things you want to do as you're doing your mitigation, and I highly encourage you to do, is take photographs of the before. Take photographs of the aftermath of the mitigation you're conducting. Save those receipts. That's going to be key. Because guess what? Although they are required to do this and give you better rates, they also are going to challenge you. So if you did the mitigation, and I'm a business, do I really want to know the mitigation you did to give you a better rate? Absolutely not. So that's why we're educating and equipping you with the tools to say, hey, you want to make sure you do the proper steps, you take the proper steps of mitigation, get it signed off by a firefighter, and then they have to go ahead and take that in. If it's not signed by a firefighter, or they don't want to accept that, then you can challenge them and say, okay, you need to provide me a free alternative course to meet your guideline of certification. If they refuse to accept what you've introduced them with, which is the certification and the reporting you have, then contact our department. So that can be challenged to our department. Okay? Now, I will be taking questions at the end, so please do write them down because I do want to hear them. And important to submit those as soon as you do the mitigation, okay? That's going to be key to make sure you're getting that better rate. Now, how many of you have experienced, know someone or yourselves, a non-renewal notice? A few hands. Non-renewal notices, cancellations, no longer? Okay. So these actually can also be challenged. So I'm here to tell you that the first step, instead of, after you panic a little, right? Because you have to give yourself room to feel the, oh my gosh, what am I going to do, right? Once you do that, you want to make sure you call them. And when I say them, I mean the insurer. Or you can call your broker. It depends on who you have a better relationship with. But I like to go to the source. I go back to my insurer and say, hey, I received this notification that I have a non-renewal. I'd like to know why you are non-renewing me. They have to tell you why. Once they tell you, oh, well, and this is a real life example, it's that tree that's over your roof, so we're gonna have to cancel you. This is a real life example. And I asked the lady, so what did you do? She said, I trimmed the tree. And I said, and what happened? I got reinstated. And I said, great, that's what should happen, right? However, let's say maybe what they're asking is not within reach. It happens, right? It's maybe too astronomical idea. Yeah, no, it's not in my pocket, I can't do it. Well, you do have other options. Number one, you can contact, you can go onto our webpage, and if you go onto a consumer tab, there is a list of about 100 carriers that are admitted to do and write business in the state of California. Now, it is tedious because it is going to be a hit and miss. There are going to be some that are going to say no. You're going to get several no's, but after a no, you'll eventually get a yes. I have not yet received the person who said, I've called them all and they all said no. So, still waiting. And they have my contact too, so. Let's say you did call them, they did tell you what you needed to mitigate, and they were still fixed on trying to, well, at that point, you want to contact your office. Let us just take a look. It doesn't hurt for us to take a look and make sure that they're within regulation. Now remember, our department is only an enforcement agency. We can only enforce regulation that has been established by our legislators. So if it's not in the books, the California Department of Insurance, his hands are tied. There's not much that can be done. However, if it's within the books, it's in your contract, then we have some teeth to go off of, and we're able to challenge. So that's going to be important, but anything that helps you understand. All right, I'm going to speed you up here. After you do that, you can search while you're waiting for our response, continue to search for admitted carriers, and then you want to make sure there is a surplus line. Those are usually the insurers that are reinsuring the insurers, and it is more expensive, and they're not guaranteed. But they are there as an option, and of course you have the FAIR plan as the last resort. And just a few resources we have available. You don't understand your policies, contact our office. We can help and assist with that. We talked about cancellation notices. We talked about if you have general questions, complaints, you can submit them through us. Also, if you need help with starting a claim, if you have general questions, doesn't matter how small, contact our department. You can find over 100 admitted carriers. We have a home inventory guide. You need an inventory guide. We do have a low-cost auto insurance program. We do not sell insurance. However, we do have a program available for those that are financially thinking of letting go of their insurance because they can't afford it. And then we do have Senior Gateway Portal to help assist you, and more informational one-pagers as well. Please do sign up to our consumer alerts. We do have a grant that will be coming out soon. They're still working out the weeds of that, but you'll be the first to know if you're signed up to our consumer alerts. So make sure you do sign up to stay in the know of the latest and greatest of what's happening with the department. And we do have, lastly, our state educational webinars. We just had a residential insurance one. We will be having our health insurance one August 19th, and October 21st will be focused on business insurance. So free webinar, share it with your loved ones, and just continue to get equipped with the tools necessary to know what you're shopping for and properly protect yourselves. Care about what you think. It was a short but quick presentation. Please do give me your feedback. We always like to improve our presentations. Thank you. I'll give it back.
Thank you so much, Brenda. We appreciate you coming so much. She drove all the way from LA, probably dealt with a lot of traffic to be here, so thank you. And did you want to introduce our new San Diego representative?
Absolutely. We just hired a San Diego representative. I'm so excited. Her name is Yolanda Diaz. She is based out of here in San Diego, so she is a neighbor, she's familiar, so she'll be your representative here.
Thank you so much. And will you guys be available afterwards for questions?
Yeah, we're gonna stick around.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you both. Nice to meet you, Yolanda. Thank you, Brenda. And we are now going to hear, do we have one question? Do you want to ask a question?
I need 2 slides back.
2 slides back. We can do that for you. Good?
One more.
One more back.
Okay, and as we get the slide back, we are also going to welcome up our Del Mar Heights Fire Safe Council Chair, Ronnie. Not chair. Okay, Ronnie Russman. Just a worker.
Thank you all so much for coming today. I just have 3 quick announcements. I hope they're quick. One, our Fire Safe Council this year reached a milestone and completed its first Community Wildfire Action Plan. It's otherwise known as a CWPP, with a lot of help from Morgan and the Fire Rescue Department to get that approved by all the fire chiefs, and there are many. that outlines what our community is thinking that we need to focus on over the next few years to help you become fire safe. And this workshop is just one example of those activities. We also have an emphasis on getting information to you and evacuation information by using some of the apps that you heard about today. We also have a goal of, number 2, having our evacuation block ambassador program expanded so that we have one representative for every 10 houses on every block in Del Mar Heights to help alert you to evacuation notices. If by any chance you didn't register for one of those apps that were recommended or the message didn't get through to you, we are a backup to that system to tell you to evacuate. We do have a sign-up list at our table outside where you can indicate your interest in serving on that. It only takes about 2 hours per year of your time. So please, please, please sign up if you are interested in that activity. And number 3, perhaps the most impactful, is our fuel reduction project in Crest Canyon Open Space Park, part of our mitigation work. If you have ever hiked or walked your dog in this park, you know that the foliage is beautiful, but very dense. You might have seen flyover during the pre-meeting. But perhaps what you didn't know is that the citizens and residents of Del Mar Heights paid for the bond which allowed the city of San Diego to buy that park back in the 1970s. So if you are a long-term resident, you probably voted to tax yourself to help pay for that bond. And it lasted for 10 years before it was paid off and reverted totally to the city of San Diego, with a small part being subsidized by the city of Del Mar. So thank you for that. And we are thrilled to have just received notification of a commitment to fund some brush clearance in Crest Canyon Open Space Park. That's the good news. The bad news is it's not going to pay for the whole project. So we need to ask you again to dip into your pockets and make a donation to this effort before we can even begin the work or the analysis that we have to do to make sure that we are addressing the most critical fire-prone areas, particularly where it is near habitable structures. In other words, your homes. There's a lot of regulations about where your property ends and doing your defensible space within the 100 feet, and we will help you navigate some of that. You need a right of entry if you're going to work in the park. You need to have a botanist come out and evaluate. That might even involve a multi-species specialist. So as we learn more about these regulations, we can help you navigate that, but it takes money. So our goal is to raise at least $5,000 in the next 2 months so we can begin that work. And helping us create that defensible space will help everybody in the community. So I'd like to thank you all for your attending tonight and learning about it. And I'm going to turn it back over to Phoebe.
Let us know where to donate.
Pardon me?
How do we donate?
All right. Good question. There's a QR code on the tables. It's on our website. And when you sign in the attendance sheet, there's a column that says donate. You can check that off, and we'll get back in touch with you. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Ronnie?
Yes.
So where all the vegetation is blocking the sidewalk on Del Mar Heights Road between Crest and Durango, that's not the city's responsibility. That's our responsibility.
Well, it depends.
Like that's this.
Well, it's gonna
your fundraising for?
depends where your 100-foot demarcation is. So 100 feet from the end of your structure out, you are responsible for maintaining that. But if it's part of the park, there has to be a right of entry to actually do work on it. And you don't want to be taking out exotic plants, you don't want to do total clearance.
I'm not sure we're talking.
And it gets very technical.
So like, I'm talking on Delmar Heights Road now, between Durango and Crest. You can barely even make it down the sidewalk, the public sidewalk. And I'm not sure why that's.
Are you talking about the path, the walking path?
The sidewalk, the paved concrete sidewalk on the edge of Delmar Heights Road.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
And it's, as your picture has it as being part, like it's on the edge of the neighborhood park. But I'm not sure why that's, somebody needs to clear it. Are they saying that is the responsibility of this group you're fundraising for? Versus it being the city's responsibility because it's that public sidewalk?
It's gonna depend on where it is in relation to your house.
It's not my house, it's just the public sidewalk on Delmar Heights Road.
Yeah. Well, then, if it's part of the park, it's the city's responsibility, but they have very limited funds and we can't get to everything. They are supposed to be working in every city open space park every 22 months. But it's never enough to do the work that needs to be done. Okay,
I can help her with that answer. So if you go onto City of San Diego, get it done, and you put it in, if it's a city street, then it will go to Streets Division, and they will have somebody come out and take a look at it, and then they'll put it in the budget. So if you're City of San Diego, go on the Get It Done app. You can put in any request that you have for any area. Just put the 100 block, take a picture, and they'll get somebody out to it.
Thank you. Okay, that's so helpful. Thank you, Ronnie, and I want to introduce Milton Greenberg, who is the Sorrento Valley Fire Safe Council Chair. And he is going to moderate a panel now here, and that will be the last part of this presentation, and then you'll get to go outside to the Expo and talk to people out there and find out about all of the great resources we have out there. But first, we have a panel, so thank you, Milton.
Thank you. We have a lot of questions. I'd like to invite all the previous speakers up to the stage, and we'll have a chance to ask some questions to all of our experts. So please, all the previous speakers, come back up. So this is the question and answer session. So if you have a question for any of our panelists, please just raise your hand and we can start making our rounds. Yes, thank you.
So I just wanted to know how we can take that all-day class that you mentioned.
Yes, so ask your fire safe council leader for your neighborhood. Okay. And if you don't have one, you're going to look up the Greater Fire Safe Council of San Diego, and you're going to ask Morgan right there in the back in the green shirt. Does that do it?
Yep.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Same guy, sorry I don't remember your name. So because we're close to Miramar, do we have access to military resources for firefighting?
Are you asking in regards to an actual fire response and if they're coming to us?
Sorrento Valley is very close to Miramar, and I'm just wondering if they are able to provide resources or usually do or might do.
But I want to make sure that I'm answering correctly. Resources in regards to defensible space or an actual firefight? Yeah, so my previous history before I took the job that I'm sitting right now as a public information officer, I worked in our command center. When it comes to federal resources from the military, it's kind of a last minute decision because it goes through a lot of federal, I guess you could say red tape, to get those federal resources. But there are federal fire departments, and those are available to respond if needed, when needed. through a mutual aid contract that already exists between every fire agency in the state of California. So the answer is yes. When it comes to like helicopters and things like that, we do have a contract with the military to use them, but it's at the last resort. We have plenty of resources in California when it comes to aerial firefighting. The only time that might happen is we have a significant firestorm throughout the whole state, and then we'll tap into those. And it's mostly because they're not fighting fire regularly, so there's a safety factor that's very important, and it requires a lot of staffing, but we do train with them often to try to mitigate them. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Several of the presenters talked about, during the more serious fires, talked about water drops. I also talked about dropping retardant. What's the nature of retardant, and is it a danger long term?
So fire retardant is a non-toxic substance. At the end of the day, it's basically fertilizer. And you could ChatGPT it or Google it yourself to find out their actual compounds that are in there. It does sustain a metal that you might find out there as like the big red flag, but what that metal is it allows it to create that rust color that you kind of see to create that pink
In the
color.
photos, right?
And instead of using dyes, which would be bad, it's just a natural metal that allows for it to corrode and make that pink color. If that makes
Okay,
sense.
and if one wanted to look up the more information about fire retardant, where would one go?
You could just Google what's in fire retardant. I don't want to pull out my phone and do it and go down this rabbit hole here, but it's basically a phosphate similar to fertilizer. So over time, with the sun and the rain, it washes out, it dries out, and then it helps rebuild. Part of the mission for both the federal agencies and the state mission is also rehabbing areas after a wildfire, and the fire retardant helps with the growth.
Okay, so
and in order to avoid runaway, which causes floods and all that other stuff.
So someone can find an MSDS sheet for fire
You
retardant.
can't find an MSDS sheet for it.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I'm nervous. I'm very old to live in the Del Mar before many people. Before the North City, North City West, which we always say that is a no life. And the west of Highway 5, we have life. But I'm glad the city and the county did a marvelous job with the fire department, with all the people, with the school, very organized.
Yeah, thank you.
But I live right 200 or 600 feet away from Crest Canyon. Crest Canyon is a fire bowl. Once catch fire, not like Sorrento fire. The fire goes to Crest Canyon with all the heat will bomb just like a paradise in Northern California. You know, Sorrento Valley fire very lucky with open. And I lived there since 1979. I lived this area since 1975. My children went to school, beautiful school, isn't this beautiful school? So I cannot afford to move to the senior citizen facility. I fight with the new neighbor from venture capital from back east. They wanted their ocean view. They have attorney. So recently, because the Paradise fire, I told my gardener to clean the bougainvillea. Bougainvillea is the vine, you know, for a long time, lots of them. So when I got big lawsuit, trespass, we have a survey, came, because I cannot go to his property. Trespass to the timber, negligence, and I hired a gardener without license, 15 feet without license. My gardener with me for 35 years. we always train kid everything. The lawsuit, I did went to the fire department. Fire department say, oh, you know, that is a civil case. I went to the city, I went to the county. City have problem because it's not construction. County is land development for 3 years. And I went to one attorney asked for $200,000 lawsuit. So do your this privilege have some mediator or some committee? I can go without this expensive lawsuit. I still goes on. So that is a complicated case. And I went to the county assessor office for this 3 years with my husband in the dialysis. You know, I have to take care of him. Meantime, I'm diabetic. I'm handicapped, you can see. Go all the court, go everywhere. Nobody can help. Oh, this is a civil case. This is a civil case. So I let the attorney sue me. So sue me, my government no license. Actually, I protected this Crest Canyon. Once this catch fire, much worse than the other one.
Okay, we are so sorry that you're going through that.
So
I don't know if
suggest
this
you have
panel.
some committee can help to like this case instead of go this case.
We understand, and we're so sorry that you have been through that. I don't know if anyone on this panel has.
I'll tell you what, after
Yeah.
this is done, us three were just talking, we can give her a couple more resources. I don't think we're expertise on that, but we have resources we can give you, and at least we can try getting you down the right path.
I did went to the police department, I went to the fire department, they all said, oh, this.
No,
I think they have different resources for you.
That's a legal
so-
matter. They
That's
wouldn't get
legal,
involved.
yeah.
So they'll talk to you after.
No, you're fine.
That's great. That's great. They'll talk, thank you guys
Yep,
so much.
of course.
So make sure you stay after and they will talk to you, okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
the Crest Canyon is very
Okay.
dangerous.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and we have one more question now, thank you.
This question is with regard to architectural homeowners who are subject to architectural regulations. We all live, we live right on Gonzales Canyon, right on. All of the homes have wooden fences, which, as I understand, are also wanting to be on the way out. But
Just the first 5 feet that attaches to your house.
well, with regard to that, exactly. Every one of those wooden fences is attached to the house. So there is no 5 yards. It's right attached to the house. Yet, if I wanted to go in there and replace that, and I'm not complaining about my specific situation, but in general, every one of those homes would have to get architectural committee approval in order to put in, for example, a steel version or a non-combustible version. And they're doing nothing really right now. There's no sense of urgency at all. Am I wrong that February of 27 is the deadline for us to start making 0 accommodations?
So the Zone 0 requirements is for new construction. So that was the
No,
one
that's already in place. That happened in 2026 in February.
They
In
keep bumping it out.
2027, the retrofit
Oh.
has to be complete.
Yeah, the new construction, that is what it applies to.
Well, right,
But like the older
but in
construction-
2027, we're all covered from, every single property west of I-5 to Gonzales Canyon is in that red 0 zone. Every one of those homes.
And we're doing education first. So the plan with Zone 0 is that we're going to do education, and we're trying to teach people about things that they can do to harden their home. And so that's what our group actually does. We're not going to be going around and ticketing and, violating people that haven't changed it because it is costly.
Right, but we can't be doing it one at a time. I'm saying like these big homeowners associations.
So just to also a point of clarification, this is just at the state level. The Board of Forestry is still trying to figure out how that implementation phase is going to occur. They're still voting on that. There's no set date yet. However, it is important to note what jurisdiction your property falls in. I know City of San Diego is already implementing some version, so you want to check your county and your cities to see what are they implementing. Because again, it's going to, the cities and local entities they can have a say in how restrictive they want to implement Zone Zero. They don't have to necessarily follow suit on the state level. So be sure you're checking that.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're at time. So thank you for our panelists. Thank you to our organizers, and thank you to the community members. We'll be out there after this. So if there's any more questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much, everyone.
I think